You're standing in line. 30 seconds pass. Your hand is already moving toward your pocket. You don't decide to check your phone, you just do it. There's a name for what just happened in your brain, and it has nothing to do with willpower. You are running from a feeling that your ancestors needed to survive. But the real answer is far stranger than a bad habit. Boredom is not a flaw in your design. It might be one of the most important alarms your brain ever built. Start with what boredom actually is. Not nothing to do. Not this is dull. The psychologist John Eastwood at York University defines boredom as the uncomfortable feeling of wanting to be engaged in something, anything, and being unable to find it. Your mind is hungry. There's no food on the table. That gap between wanting and having is the feeling you call boredom. Notice that. It's not the absence of stimulation. It's the presence of a demand. Your brain is asking you for something. And when you don't answer, it gets louder. Why would evolution build a brain that punishes you for sitting still? Think about your ancestors 80,000 years ago. No phones, no screens, no endless scroll of other people's lives. Just a fire, a horizon, and long stretches of time where nothing was happening. If their brains had been comfortable with that kind of stillness, what would have happened the next time a predator moved through the grass? Boredom, in that world, was not a punishment. It was a search function. It pushed your ancestors to keep scanning, keep moving, keep noticing. A bored brain is a brain still looking for information, and in a world where missing information could mean missing a threat or a meal, that restlessness kept people alive. This is why boredom feels like discomfort instead of calm. Calm would have gotten your ancestors killed. Discomfort kept them paying attention. So your phone reach in line isn't weakness. It's an ancient alarm going off in a room with no fire to check and no horizon to scan. The alarm still works. The world it was built for doesn't exist anymore. Here's where it gets stranger. In 2014, the psychologist Timothy Wilson at the University of Virginia ran an experiment that became famous for how uncomfortable its results were. He put people alone in a room with nothing to do for 15 minutes. No phone, no book, just their own thoughts. Many of them rated the experience as unpleasant. Some rated it as actively distressing. Then Wilson gave them an option. They could sit in silence, or they could press a button and give themselves a mild electric shock. A quarter of the participants chose the shock. People who had said, before the study even started, that they would pay money to avoid being shocked. Given a choice between an unpleasant stimulus and no stimulus at all, a meaningful number of people chose the pain. Sit with that for a second. Your brain doesn't just dislike boredom. In some cases, it would rather feel something bad than feel nothing. That tells you boredom isn't really about entertainment, it's about input. Your mind treats the absence of input as its own kind of threat. Now look at what you do every day in response to that threat. You open an app, you scroll, you glance at a notification that wasn't urgent 10 seconds before you saw it. None of this is really about curiosity. It's an ancient circuit, built for scanning a landscape, now firing uselessly at a feed engineered to never run out. And this is the strange part most people miss. The discomfort that drives you to your phone is the exact same discomfort that once drove early humans to invent things. The psychologist Sandy Mann at the University of Central Lancashire ran studies asking a simple question. What happens to creativity when people are deliberately bored before a task? In one experiment, participants were asked to do something tedious, like copying numbers from a phone book before attempting a creative challenge. The bored group consistently outperformed the group that went straight into the task. Their minds, left without external input, had wandered. And wandering, it turns out, is where new ideas live. Mann's conclusion was blunt. Boredom is not the enemy of creativity. It's the empty space creativity needs to grow into. This reframes everything. The discomfort you feel in a waiting room is the same discomfort that once pushed a hunter-gatherer to notice a new pattern in animal tracks, or to wonder what would happen if a sharp stone were tied to a stick. Restlessness without a phone to fix it doesn't disappear. It turns inward, and turned inward, it becomes thought. Real thought. The kind that doesn't happen when your attention is being fed every 6 seconds by something else. Here's the twist most people never consider. Your phone isn't curing your boredom. It's interrupting the exact mental process boredom was designed to trigger. When you reach for your phone the moment discomfort appears, you see, over years, this adds up to something researchers now describe with real concern. A mind that has lost practice at tolerating its own company. Not because something is broken in it, but because the muscle was never asked to work. Children show this most clearly. In multiple studies, kids given unstructured time with no devices and no entertainment eventually start inventing games, narratives, rules, entire imagined worlds. Not because they're told to, because an unoccupied mind doesn't stay unoccupied. It builds something to fill the space. That's the same machinery your ancestors used to build tools, stories, and eventually civilizations. Give it a target, and it goes looking. Give it a screen instead, and it stops looking altogether. So what happens if you let the alarm ring instead of silencing it? Try it for 60 seconds right now. No phone, no noise, just the room you're in. The first 10 seconds will feel normal. By 20, you'll likely feel a pull, almost physical, towards something else to look at. That pull is the ancient alarm. It's not telling you something is wrong with you. It's telling you that you're alive enough to still be scanning for the next thing worth your attention. The strange part is what comes after the pull, if you don't act on it. Thoughts start arriving that weren't there a minute ago. A memory, a half-formed idea about something unrelated to your day, a question you didn't know you were holding. This is the same mental wandering Sandyman's participants experienced before their creative breakthroughs. It only shows up once you stop feeding the alarm with cheap, constant stimulation. This doesn't mean boredom is pleasant. It isn't supposed to be. Comfort was never the goal. Discomfort was the mechanism. The same way hunger isn't pleasant, but exists to make sure you eat. Boredom exists to make sure your mind keeps searching, keeps building, keeps reaching past whatever is immediately in front of it. Modern life solved the discomfort without solving the original demand. You can silence the alarm forever now, one scroll at a time, and never once answer what it was actually asking for. Maybe the goal isn't to eliminate boredom. Maybe it's to stop treating it as an emergency. The next time you're standing in a line or waiting for a kettle to boil or sitting in a quiet room with nothing scheduled, notice the pull before you obey it. That pull is older than your phone, older than language, older than fire. It was built to keep a hunter-gatherer alive by keeping their mind in motion. It still works exactly as designed. The only thing that's changed is what you do with it the moment it fires. You're standing in line again. 30 seconds pass. Your hand starts to move toward your pocket. This time, you notice the alarm and you let it ring.